Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is the US stock market recap video for the week ending July 10th, 2026. We have the market finished with IPO from SK Hynix, a Korean company specialized in the memory chips area, and it was priced at 149. It opened at 170 and it closed at 168, which is a pretty good day for this stock. So that helped boost the tech market a little bit, especially in Nasdaq. We'll start with the Nasdaq Composite Index weekly chart here. We have the second week in a row. Also, we tested the red line here, which is the 10-week moving average, for the second time in a row. So it was able to close at the top of the range. So that is good news, up 1.7% for the week. On the daily chart, you see we have been very choppy, going from down and then up and then down and then up, and you see the range is getting smaller, which is a healthy sign, especially if since we didn't break this low here. So that is also another good sign. And then here we barely come down below the red line. As you can see, there's 2 times it came below, or 3 times. All 3 times it was able to bounce back and close near the short-term moving average. Now we are very close to breaking our zone. It almost looked like a handle here. Also, you can see there is a few 4 days of tightness here at the top on the right side here of the chart. So right now it does appear that we have closed above those points. The highest was 25824. So right now we're at 26, and then this one's 26039, 26047. So yes, we have broken above those tightness right there, which is 26,281 right now. So that's another good sign. Here's the S&P 500 index weekly chart. We also see similar pattern here, 2 weeks now bouncing back. Also, we test the red line here as well, and we are very close to a new high, as you see from the weekly chart. So for the week, it was up 1.23%. On the daily chart, also we're seeing the choppiness lately, and you can see the gap, the range is getting narrower as it forms a pendant. Also on Friday, it seems like a small breakout here out of this tightness area. So as we close above those tightness area, so that is another good sign. If we can follow through next week, that will be really, really important, as this could set up, many stocks breakout as well after this recent consolidation. So that's a good news if that happens. Here's Dow Jones weekly chart. It did make a new high earlier in the week, but you can see it closed down in the bottom range for the week, down 0.5%. Here's the daily chart. We had 2 days of two rough days here. And then we found support there. Thursday, Friday, we bounced back. So that is good news. So perhaps this could continue this rally here. Very strong index, recently. But yeah, it did suffer a pullback here. Here's Russell 2000 index. It also have a rough week. As you can see, it's down 0.6% for the week. We did come down to near the short-term moving average here. On the daily chart, you can see that more as it came down below the pink line. It did bounce back on Thursday, but Friday it came back towards the pink line again. So we are just at the short-term moving average right now. So yeah, for the week it is negative. Perhaps more troublesome is the IBD 50 ETF from CapForce here, down another week, the 3rd week in a row, that 1.08%. It is below the red line as well, which is the 50 days moving average here on the daily chart. Also, you clearly see it found resistance near the 1021 day as it came back down from that point. So this is looking very negative at this moment, since it failed to recover. Our question is, are we going to see a sector rotation into some other stocks from previous, moving from previous leaders to such as chips and AI related stocks to other areas? Or are we going to see all the growth stocks start to tumble? Part of the problem for the market is the 10-year Treasury note. It has been steadily climbing. Here we can see it got quite extended from the 10-day moving average and pulled back on Thursday. And then Friday it did rebound though, so it's at 4.56%. So here we see the US dollar index holding up near the short-term moving average here. So it's been stabilized a little bit here. Here's the US oil fund looking at the oil here, we're seeing it did move up earlier in the week as we hear about the U.S. Iran were fighting each other again, and then as Thursday came back down as they're looking to go back to negotiation of peace, and so the oil price came back down and WTI at $71. His gold price is stabilized, however, is still under the short-term moving averages. Same thing with silver here, it's still near the short-term moving average. Here's Bitcoin. You see some signs of life here as it tries to come back above the 21-day and 10-day here. So it is just slightly above it at this moment. So going to next week, we will have Fed Chair Warsh here doing his testimonial before the U.S. Congress for the first time. So that will be potentially revealing some things that how he thinks and what's happening for the Fed interest rate this year. And we will also get the consumer price index for June on Tuesday, the producer price index on Wednesday, and retail sales on Thursday. And for the coming week, we have earnings kick off with the big banks, including Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. We also have ASML and Taiwan Semiconductor as well that will represent the chips area. So let's look at the market signal from IBD here. It is still at 60 to 80% allocation. Didn't see any new distribution days, so that is also good news. We're still standing at Actually, we did suffer a mild distribution day on Wednesday with S&P down slightly. Now we're standing at 5 distribution days. We still have 9 on Nasdaq, which is very high. For the week, we see that accumulation did kind of pick up on distribution on Tuesday and Wednesday, but we came back more on Thursday and Friday, so that is positive. We end the week with positive, more accumulation than distribution. The same thing here you see with the industry groups. For the sectors, we have technology and commodities and financial still above net accumulation minus the number of distribution stocks. And but however, we see that health have dropped off significantly on Friday as it went through a pretty big pullback there on Friday. So that's the sector's strength there. So here's the WenX Semiconductor ETF symbol SMH. It is actually bouncing back as it came down below the red line, the 10-week moving average, and it bounced from the bottom, closed near the top, up 3% for the week. This is very productive, very positive for the week. As we did challenge here on the 10-day, the 50-day here on the red line on the daily chart, you can see it definitely challenged it 2 days in a row on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday we have a nice gap up, and Friday we again even in the morning we challenged the short-term moving average, but we're able to come back to the top range and close near those short-term moving average. So for the week it is very positive. This is Nvidia on the daily chart. You can see we have been on a downtrend for quite a while now, and recently we found support near the black line here multiple times. And then from the recent week here, we actually bounced off there Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday we kind of test the short-term moving average once more, and then from Friday we actually have a huge bounce. So right now it is sitting slightly above the red line, which is the 50-day moving average, and that is good news after a few weeks of consolidation below it, and then finding support once again at the 200-day moving average. So this may be something positive here in development here, as if as the index we saw there's a rebound as well. So this might be a good sign for the chips area. We'll see. So this is Taiwan Semiconductor symbol TSM. It is reporting in 5 days here, very shortly here next week, and we are sitting kind of below the 21-day, the pink line here. So it's slightly more negative on this chart just because it hasn't been able to climb back above the 10 days. So that's negative in that sense. So definitely this will move the market on this chip area next week, as this is one of the bigger market cap, 1.94 trillion. This is ARM. ARM is also not doing that well as it is below, just slightly below the 10-day moving average, the green line and the pink line as well. And the bounce hasn't been the strongest. AMD looks a lot better as it's trading many days above the 10-day recently despite all this turbulence. You can see how choppy this stock has been, but again, the good news is you can see many, the blue bars here, at the top above the green line, which is a good news. But like I said, it is very choppy. But right now it looks decent because it actually above the green line 2 days in a row after testing the lows here on the lower range here and below the 21 days. So the tests, it found support and now it is trying to move back up. Next, we look at Intel here. Intel is not looking good. It is below the red line, which is the 50-day moving average. And you can see this is 4 sessions now below that. The longer it doesn't come back from after going below it, the 50-day is usually not a good sign as institutions show no support to bring it back up. So that's something to be aware of. Here's Broadcom also bouncing back nicely here. It did somewhat find some resistance near the red line here, which is the 50-day moving average. It is coming down slightly. So a better signal would be to see it come above that line. And then on Friday, it's trading tightly. So that even though it pulls back, but it pulls back very little and trading very tightly. You see the range is barely a bar there. You can see it's still way above 1021 days. So it looks like it's setting up to break out above the 50-day red line. So we'll see if that will happen next week. Here's the IGV, iShares Software Sector ETF for the week. It actually, clearly found resistance at this black line here, which is the 40-week moving average, and it came back down. The previous week was really nice because we bounced back above the red line here, but we're seeing some resistance here at the black line. It's down 1.2% for the week. On the daily chart, you can see it more clearly. It bounced from the bottom to the black line, then comes down to the red line here. So that's where we're sitting at right now. Even though Friday we tried to move out in the morning, but we closed at the bottom. So again, we're testing this red line right now. Here's Microsoft. We bounced back from the bottom. However, it's just sitting at the 1021 day line right now. So it's still not clearly sitting, trying to come back above those trend lines yet. So technically, this is still considered in the downtrend zone. Google here also looking very similar. Found resistance at the red line, came back down to 1021 day line. So a lot of these mega caps are going to be reporting in a couple of weeks from now. So most likely they're not going to move too much between now and then, as we are waiting for what their possible results look like and forecast. So that is going to be very important going forward. We did have a big meta move this week. Look at this Thursday bounce here. Pretty strong bar as it reversed from the bottom all the way to the top here, and then Friday we followed through. So looking at why Meta bounced so hard on Thursday and Friday is due to two back-to-back report. On Thursday we have Summit Analysis report praising Meta's AI pivot here, saying they have created a new whole restructuring for their model. MuseSpark model is now competitive with OpenAI and Anthropic models. And then on Friday, we have Bank of America leak that show that Meta AI costs are way lower than fear. So those two news actually spark it much higher. Here's Amazon chart, daily chart. It did try to stay above the 1021 day this week, so that is good news. Friday, it tried to move up higher. However, it did close at the bottom of the range. No surprise here with Palantir, as the software group also took a hit this week. We're seeing it follow the same pattern here, pulling back towards this short-term 10-21 day moving average. Here's a look at Apple here, bouncing back after the announcement of iPhone foldable production there, and then this week has been surprisingly holding up much better than many stocks here. You see it is above the green line, looking really nice here, ready to break out to new zone here, very close to 317, the high there. Tesla this week didn't do that well as it still remained near the 1021 day as well. It did bounce back slightly Thursday and Friday, but yeah, it remained near term, just kind of staying around that short-term moving average 10-21 day there. Here's Netflix. This week we see another resistance level here near the 21 day and 10 day. It couldn't stay, not only climb above those two lines, but it actually fell back below those two lines on Friday. So that is very negative. We are seeing earnings coming out this coming week, so that will be another catalyst. The last time we had was a big drop here after the earnings results right there. So and then here the second time before also drop here, and the third time before also drop here. So it's been pretty negative for Netflix for a long time now. Whether they can turn around, we'll have to see. So thank you for watching this video. We cover the main market macros here as well as some of the mega caps. In my next video, we're going to go into the growth stocks to talk about what's happening there. Obviously, we've seen chips pulling back. They're trying to bounce back right now. The software has been very choppy. They show some strength, but also show weakness as well at the same time. So what's going to happen? Where are we standing? So please watch that video and follow. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Bye now.